Uh, okay, thank you. So we have created a sample CDSU yesterday. We have just used a data definition syntax template, and we have defined a sample CDSU. So now we just go ahead and uh, we just go ahead and see additional functionalities or additional capabilities of the CDSUs, and we will keep on adding to our CDSUs going forward. And I have prepared some list of URLs where we will be taking help um, in terms of understanding more about annotations and the available functionalities such as the CDS functions, built-in functions, what are the built-in functions or expressions, whatever we can make use of it. But before that, where we are going to fit in all of them, and let us try to add something here into our project. Login. Good. So favorite packages. I think I lost it again. Um, Let me add my package here. Such as the yeah. So in this package, we have data definition, core data services, and then data definitions. So in these data definitions, we have only two data definitions. That one we have created part of our exercise here. Let me pick up this one. So we just open it. So this is another way of navigating through the objects. If we have the object in handy, we just go ahead and use this open, and we try to type or paste this CDSU name, and it comes back. Okay, and if we don't know, and if we likely know the pattern, so that we have already seen that way of searching. So if we don't have any idea about the name, and like we likely searching for something, then all the patterns we can start with star, and then our relevant keywords like trip header base or something, trip header something. So it brings all the uh, matches that in the system, including program, transaction code, class, package, CDSs, everything, all the development objects of database. It will straight away go ahead and fetches all the hit lists. So whatever is suitable for us, so we can pick it and we can navigate through from here. So now we know what are the different types of scopes. So we have the view level scope, which is we can say the entity level as well, and this is the uh, element level, element or entry. Sorry, this is entity and element level. Okay, so now let me create something, something like define view. Right now we have created define view, and there is something define view entity as well. So let us try creating different data definition. So this time I'm not going through all the process of right click and select a new and other object and things like that, as I'm um, already in my data definition place. As I'm intending to create more data definitions at this place, I just go ahead and right click on this one and select new data definition. So let me go ahead and create um, ZTH. What is it? I'm still using this I will tell you why I'm using it. trip header, let me say this element. So view element. So this time what I'm going to do is I will be simply using this reference object. So this reference object, it can be anything like whatever we are sourcing, source using the data using as a data source. So it can be a database table, or it can be a CDS view, it can be metadata, or anything, whatever we are going to use as a reference. So in this example, I'll just go ahead and use my ZTH trip hedge, or let me create this for items, trip items, whereas this will be useful for us in our next example, next exercise. So trip items, I'm just going ahead next, and let us see. Yes. So let me go next. And if you see here, we have define view entity, define root view entity, define entity with a two parent association. So these three are relevant for relevant with the define view entity. Okay. So here, define view with associations, a few things are available here again. So now let me, if you still want to understand bit more again, so this is the root entity, view entity. They are all part of RESTful application programming, RESTful web application programming. If you see here, and we are using both part of it, as we are on the latest NetWeaver version 7.56. So all these functionalities are available for us. So in your customer place, if you may not be able to see if they are running on 7.5, below 7.50 or something like that. But even in that case, you will be having this defined view. This is not the latest feature available in across the systems. This is an existing feature. Okay, so as we are going with both the approaches, if something is not working and something not working, then you can straight away go ahead with the defined view as is. So now I'm selecting define view entity. I will tell you what is the difference between these two as well. So if you see the syntax itself showing something different to us, that's fine. Let me go ahead and finish the define view entity here. So it's perfect. So if you see now, by inserting these fields, we ended up with one error. I just used my formatter, and the annotations, whatever we see here, they're all completely different now. So we don't see the SQL view here. We don't see the SQL view here. Okay. And if we don't want to use any of these ones, we can straight away go ahead and remove all of this. And end user text label still exist, and authorization not required. This is also still exist. And metadata, ignore propagate annotations, true, and this is relevant for metadata extensions. Okay. And this object model, if you see here, this is the new annotation which we have some useful information here. So this usage type, so this object model is it runs something. There will be no real business object created for this, but this object model here is, we are not building any transactional app here. In this view, why this object model is here means, so at the runtime, whenever this view has been accessed for data, then this object model annotations will be considered by the engine, database engine, or application engine, and builds this information. So accordingly, the memory allocation and things like that, to improve the better performance. So if you see here, size category, it's a small, but again, if you look at the size categories, they all medium, small, large, XL, XXL, like this. So this will be completely depending on the data which we are dealing with. So we can change this accordingly. The runtime engine allocates the work processes, or whatever the infrastructure point of view is needed to run this. The better performance, it will behave accordingly. So this is all to determine or define the behavior of it. And service quality, if you see here, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, P, and X. So each one is having the different value, but they are depending upon the layers. Once we see the CDS layers, we will go through this. But for now, we just go with the default value there. And data class here. So in this data class, we will have again some different values, whether it is a master data or it's a metadata or organizational data or transactional, whatever it is the customizing data. Or so this is just data classification that we have like in dictionary level. So when we create a dictionary table, we will be defining the data class. Do you remember? So it is similar to that, and to make the application service know about this. This is the data classification. Okay, so we go with mixed. And now if you see, there is one error. So we have not done anything extra than this one. So we are still going with the default annotations and default generations. But here I see some error here. So what is this? It's total expense is a price currency. So this needs a reference. Okay. So it doesn't here we're not telling uh, what this reference field is. So it is currency, and we are not telling what is the currency field for this one. So that is why it is stopping us or showing us the error. So unlike the defined view here, the CDS entity is very strict in terms of following the uh, syntaxes. So here, if you see, we will be learning uh, another annotation here, which is semantics. So semantics annotation is the one which we use to define the reference fields and make the system understand. Look, they are something different, and they are semantics. Without that, user won't be able to understand it. So if you rather displaying simple numbers, and semantics will do all the conversions or something, whatever is required for this one. So if you take in terms of JPY, Japanese currency, whereas Japanese currency will not have any decimal places, but this one, if we have any Japanese currency values, this one will not convert anything into without decimals. But whereas in this case, this will definitely convert the currency into and removes the number of decimals in the consumer side at the user. So here to suppress this error, what is the annotation? As I mentioned, we will be using semantics. So in the semantics, we will have a number of annotations here. So address, city, and everything. Everything will represent those relevant informations in better manner at the UI level. Okay, and backend, whenever these data is being used, then they will be they will be referred. Okay, so this is the something semantic annotation has been mentioned, and then this data will need to be converted, and that is all the compiler or engine, respective underlying engine, will be doing that. But what we need to know is okay, so to suppress this one, if there are any reference fields here, then we must specify relevant semantics. That is what we need to do. Sorry. And here in our case, it's going to be an amount here, total expenses. So now I will be going to the amount and the currency code. The amount and the currency code. So now here I'm specifying what field is referring the currency code in this particular CDS view. So here, if you see, so currency is referred as my currency key here. So I have given my currency. So after adding this annotation, the error has been suppressed. So now that's it. So this view has been finished now. So let me activate it now. Still we have an open question that what is the difference? So we are doing everything, but we have seen one difference here. It is very strict. So if there are any reference fields or any type related things, then it will definitely stop here. That's what we have seen here. But and also one more difference here, we don't see any SQL view, ABAP dictionary SQL view here. Physical, sorry, by looking at itself, we can sense that there is no dictionary view, DDIC view created for this one. Okay, so if whereas in this case the DDIC view has been created, and without this we can't create define view. So what is happening in this case and what is happening in this case? So in this case, let me open and go back to the database from here itself. Open my HANA perspective, HANA development perspective. Let me go to system. Yeah, I think so. Everybody have these HANA system details available on your desktop. So this is, so if you are fancy about doing HANA development, you are open and you can go ahead and do HANA development or explore HANA as well, as we have this feature, as I mentioned already. So let me go to my catalog, and in the catalog, whatever the objects we create here, they are all going to be under S4 HANA, SAP HANA DB, I think. Yep. So SAP HANA DB, and in this one there will be a lot of tables here. So it will load up to 1,000 entries initially, but we do not want to end up in that way. So let me close this one and let me copy my SQL view name here, or CDS view name, whatever is here, and let me right click on my catalog and find a table. So if I place my CDS view here, there will be nothing. Okay, but instead, if I search with my SQL view name here, ZTHITRIP HB, yeah, HB. If you see here, the view, which view, it's not the CDS view that got created in the backend. I mean on the database. So on the database, uh, first in place, the database view created a database view created on ABAP application server. Then that has been replicated into the HANA database. We can see that, right? So now in other case, in this case, what is happening? In this case, let's see what. Let's take this CDS view and go here and find it here. So here we go. So we have the direct CDS view created in the database itself. Okay. And what happens to the DDAC view? DDAC view, it doesn't exist, not required. So why do we need to take an extra route? Whereas ABAP layer is right on top of the database. Why do we need to take the extra route? Let's directly create on the database itself, and from database, anyways, ABAP layer is easily accessible accessible to this one. Okay, so this CDS view can be directly used in any of the program or anywhere. So let me go to my GUI system and let's check there as well. So here, let me put on view, and this is the second view created using the CDS view entity. Can we see this? We have the view created with the same name. But whereas in this case, let me pick up this one and come on. Yeah, in this case, come on. This is internally referencing to the DDIC DDIC structure, DDIC SQL view, and it is fetching from here. So I'm not able to show you that one, but instead I'll pick this SQL view here. So if I click on this SQL view, this is how it is built upon here. So this extra leg is no more. When we are using create view entity, we don't have this extra step, and we will not be having any DDIC SQL view here. Okay, so by this approach, there will not be an object created in the ABAP server, ABAP application layer. So it's the direct DB layer. The view directly exists in the database only, and also that will cater to the ABAP server as well. Okay, so I hope this is pretty clear. And the SAP way of suggestion is, let's proceed with this way of doing um, or creating CDS views, whereas it improves the performance than define view. Okay, at some point, customers, everybody will be moving out from this approach, and they will be start creating this defined view entity. Okay, so now here sometimes not always. So sometimes people, or if you have any customer who is using already these CDS services and etc. The annotations. So we know that this is element, okay, and this element, and one more thing here is, so we just call these views whatever have been created on database, HANA database, and ABAP layer, and etc. They all referred as entities. So entity created in ABAP layer, if it is created in ABAP layer, we are calling it as SQL view. But in terms of HANA database, if a view got created in HANA database, we call that as entity. Whereas for views on HANA database, we have some specific names like attribute views, analytical views, um, uh, or the calculation views, etc. So there is no like plain view in HANA language or HANA side. So if we create a plain view, that we call it as attribute view. Okay, even there are changes in these types of views going forward. All the feasibilities are towards analytical views and calculation views. Even calculation views will be disappearing, but analytical views will be the future in terms of HANA views. No attribute views at all. So this is what the entity at the uh, CDS side. So in this case, again, if we go ahead and search for this, and we will still see there is an entity and it's a data definition. Okay, so no confusion here. And the place where I left is the annotations. For example, each and every field here in the entity. So these are all referred to as columns or fields. We know that. And if we want to add an association, sorry, annotation here. So if I'm trying to add a field label here for this trip ID, so wherever comma ends, these annotations are applicable to these fields. Okay, so let me uh, trip trip identifier, for example, and if I want to add um, field label for this one, again I will be adding this end user text label annotation, and I will name this as from country. Okay, likewise we will be keep adding the annotations for those fields. So whatever the fields we want to maintain the labels, so we keep continuing doing that. And there is another way of writing these annotations again. So if I want to write after this field name, then I would be writing like this, and I'll just put less than here. Okay, so in this case, the writing of annotation is after the field name, but it has different syntax here. So if you end up seeing such kind of writing, then there is no surprise. It's same meaning. So we can write before field name or after field name. So both the options are available. But if you are writing before field name, then it's only at the rate. And if you are writing after field name, then there will be a less than symbol after at the rate and the annotation in between. Okay, so and let me activate this one. So it's getting activated. Uh, I know I didn't see the message coming through, but it is activated. So how we can say is, if we have any changes not activated, then on the CDS view here, on the name itself, on the you see a little dot. That means there are changes saved and not activated, and there is a lock symbol as well on this one. So that's how we see whether it is active CDS or inactive CDS view. So now it's activated. Perfect. That symbol has gone. So coming to the view element one. So in the view element, where we are able to add both kinds of uh, annotations. Let's see, trip item number, let's say, and if I want to add for a trip ID, let me write it after, and let me put a less than here. So do you see it's not allowed here? So whatever the syntax we have seen here after field name, that is applicable only to the views that have ABAP SQL view. So because this is the standard way and easily identifiable way, then why should we have this one? It's not necessary, right? So all the unnecessary things have been removed on this view entity syntaxes. So we don't need to remember this one when we are working on view entity, define view entity approach. So I know nobody will use this kind of syntax, but in case if you come across in your projects, then you shouldn't be worrying and how it is working and things like that. It's for not for learning, it's for just awareness. That's it. So generally, from now onwards, we will be using only these annotations. We will not be using the after field annotations. So this way, we will avoid using it in our future examples as well. So right now, I have changes and my both CDS views are not active. They are both inactive. And if I want to activate both of them at a time, so here there is a mouse activator icon here. So if you see here, next to activate, so we just press mouse activation, and both the CDS views will be activated at one time. So I don't need to activate individually. So okay, so now we have seen another way of creating the CDS view using define view entity, and we know the differences as well, differences between view entity and define view. Whereas an additional DDIC view will not be created when we use define view entity. If we use define view, then yes, without SQL DDIC SQL view, we won't be able to create. Uh, we won't be able to create the CDS view when we use the syntax define view. Okay. So these CDS views have been activated. So now let us learn a little more about the CDS views layers, such as the VDM types. So VDM types, um, when I say VDM types, it's a virtual data model, that is an annotation which we use to classify the CDS views. Even this VDM type of usage is strictly into the uh, internal SAP CDS views. But if we have more CDS base in our customer place, we can use these VDM types, VDM view types to identify. Otherwise, it is not necessary to use the uh, VDM annotations at customer place. So if we have multiple layers of CDS views created, and then there is no identification or something like that, then it may be good to use VDM VDM annotations. And these VDM annotations again are required for analytical CDS views as well. Let me write VDM here. And if you, so here whatever works, or you see the pop-ups here, they are all coming because I'm pressing control space. Okay, so you also do the same. That is the powerful shortcut we have here. And if you see here VDM, there are many CDS view VDM uh, types here. So usage types and view type, and each one have its own functionalities as we discussed. And I select VDM view type here. So this view type, if you see, there are many view types again here: basic, composite, consumption. So derivation function, extension, transactional are also the view types. So each one will have individual functionalities, but what we will be using, we will use basic, composite, consumption, and transactional. So these are the view types we will be closely creating, and we will be knowing what these view types. So whether we create all these view types or not, that doesn't matter, but knowing is necessary about these view types. The basic view type here, so this basic is straight away created on the database tables. Okay, the idea, if you are a technical leader or you are a technical solution provider, then um, it helps you to understand there are more basic views created on the database tables. So all these basic database table basic views will include maximum number of fields in the database table. Whereas, so these VDM basic views will not only be used for a specific requirement. So this is the base layer, and this will be referred across the customer landscape. So um, the preference is, if we have this trip header table or trip item table, so we shouldn't be having multiple basic CDS views. That is the idea. Like if user searches about this one, there should be only one basic view, and this basic view must be used across all the processes. So whenever there is a new field added into the table, then automatically this will be enhanced. enhancement of this CDSU will be sufficient to reflect that field in all the um, respective CDS views. Okay, so if you say I don't want a few of fields, still is it recommended to create? Yes, you might not be wanted those fields, but some other team might wanted the rest of the fields which you do not want. Okay, so this is to consolidate and minimize the number of CDSUs creation. Again, you shouldn't be ending up creating a new CDSU for not exist field name in the CDSU that already created by someone else. So what this avoids is, so obviously recreation avoids. And why do we need this basic? So basic views, or it's a the best practice suggested by SAP to have closely uh, created on the database tables. So there will be layers. The basic is the first layer, and the next layer is going to be the composite. Composite. So this composite layer sits right next above the basic views. So this one is just created on top of DB table, and this one again here, how this is created, the created on top of DB table, preferably one. So there will be, it's a one-to-one cardinality between the basic CDSU and the database table. And the next one, composite. So it combines or combination of multiple basic views. Okay, so if you want to combine the tables and collectively and take some of the fields and some of not required, and here we can um, choose or pick the required fields on this composite views. So here the recommendation is to add all the uh, table fields. Okay, so from this composite view, it can be a process driven or requirement driven approach to pick up the only required fields and create your own CDSU combining the basic views. So if you receive a requirement and um, you have been asked to look up to 4 tables, out of 4, two basic views are already created for those tables, and 2 tables the basic views are not created. So what do? You create the rest of the basic views, including all those fields, and use all these 4 basic views and combine in your composite view and go further on this one. Okay, so this will improve the system performance. That's why all these layers have been segregated. And the next level of CDS layer is going to be the transactional transactional layer. So here it will uses the composite views and this transactional again can be directly on a basic view as well. So if you do not have any transactional behaviors on multiple tables like parent and child, in those situations it's going to be straightforward transactional operation on your basic view. So in those cases you need not to have this composite view, and you can straight away go ahead and build uh, your CDS transactional CDS view based on the basic CDS view. Okay, so here whenever we say transactional, usually we influence the BOPF here for transactional purposes. Okay, so the BOPF comes into picture at this place. And the one more thing here, if we are creating the basic view, the idea is you leave the field names without alias names. So if you leave the field names without alias names, that gives some additional benefit whoever making use of that CDSU, the basic CDSU in their transactional purposes. So whereas in transactional purposes, the field names must be same as database field names. Okay, and the next layer on top of this is the consumption. So if you don't have transactional behavior built onto, or it is not part of your requirement transactional building, then it you can straight away go ahead and build your consumption view here. Okay, so this is the top layer of CDS views. Consumption is the top layer, and using consumption views on top we will be having it's not a VDM type, but we will be having metadata extensions. So these metadata extensions we have seen while creating the CDCU itself. It's one of the core data service type metadata extensions. And once we have this CDSU ready, then we will add some additional UI user interface relevant annotations where the CDSU can be used as uh, UI generation as well. So whereas from UI point of view, no coding is required in that case. Okay, so if we have these layers in our mind, so we can understand what we are working on. So at which level of CDSU we are working on. So the basic view is also called as interface view. Okay, so this is also called interface interface view. So that is the reason we have uh, a flag here I ZTH underscore I. That was the reason. And whenever we browse through SAP CDS views, now you might be understanding why SAP named as I underscore sales order, I underscore currency, and so on. So they all the interface views are basic views, whereas we can straight away use them. Come on, we can straight away go ahead and use them if we have all the required fields available in those interface views. So let me go to one of these and we'll see the maximum fields will be added into those interface views. And let me add some information here. So the composite views, again, these composite views are called or named interface views. Interface views, but the naming will be again I underscore. Okay, for that is why we just reference to this composite view, but the difference will be specified using this VDM type. The naming still they are used as I underscore. Okay, so here it is I underscore, and in this transactional views, so from here we will be entering into consumption layers. So here we can use them or name them as T underscore transactional, or you may be finding them C underscore. Okay, and this consumption layer here. So this consumption layer, it's C underscore. It's straightforward, and also you will be finding them uh, some of the CDS use A underscore. So this means they are completely application specific. So there will be field names and their required value helps and etc. They will be built specifically to that particular application. So if SAP has delivered a sales order maintenance application, for example, and also they have the UI and underlying CDSUs built, they will be using some I underscore CDSUs up to certain level, and they will stop it. And on top of it, they will create some A underscore CDSUs. Those A underscore CDSUs will be specifically used in this um, maintain sales order application. Okay, and we have something called VDM private. So this private views, the keyword itself says it's a private, and whereas we shouldn't be using or publishing them as OData services or something from the consumer layer. So this has to be internal to the system, and they can be used as value helps. We can build we can define the CDSU, and this CDSU can be used or this has to be um, a value help. That is the best example. Value help CDSU views, and must you use internally internally in the system. Okay, so these are the main VDM types which we should learn about. So now, by looking at it, now you can understand what kind of CDSU we are creating at the moment. So if we may not be following exactly same like this in our examples, okay, due to time constraints or something, but this is how the reality should be in terms of um, building the CDS views. Fine. So let me keep VDM type basic, and I'll comment all rest all the ones. Yep, view type basic. Okay, cool. So now we have our header table, header CDSU, header basic CDSU, and item basic CDSU here. Now let's create one additional CDSU combining both the CDSUs. So let me activate it. Sorry, I could select the mass activation. I missed it. That's fine. So activate it. Good. And both of them are activated. Now let me go ahead and create another CDSU here. So this is going to be a composite CDSU. So ZTH I'm naming it as I, or if we want, we can put CO composite for easy purpose. So this is where the customer naming standards comes into picture. So as per customer standards, by looking at itself, by looking at the CDSU itself, we should be able to understand which kind of CDSU it is. So if you are uh, playing a role of any of these code reviewer or something in your customer place or organization, then you can introduce these uh, naming standards into the coding standards so that the developers will start creating using these standards. That will help really. So whenever a CDSU has been shared or looked at it, we can easily understand what kind of CDSU it is and what it can contain. So by looking at it, if we name it as CO, composite CDSU, then by looking at itself, we can say that, okay, there are multiple basic CDSUs have been used inside this one. That's what the initial understanding we get. So let me name it trip uh, details, trip details. So I do not want to give any reference here. I'm just going ahead and now this time I'm choosing define view entity here. Okay. So let's go ahead, finish. I'm, uh, we will create all of them, but let's do this at the moment. So instead of trip details, I name it as trip report. So we know that we don't need a web SQL SQL view name here. So in this place, what I do, I will try to join this trip header and trip items, both of them. So I'm just joining them. So inner join. So we are starting with the inner join, and we will go further whatever all the possible joins or associations available. We'll start with association, inner join, and let me write inner join to this one. Inner join to this one as items on. So here we can have alias name, okay, or without alias name. If we go without alias name, then we will be ending up using the same name to refer the fields inside this one. So we have already this basic understanding. That's the reason I'm just skipping that as header. And now here I'm writing header dot, what is that, trip ID equals to, sorry, this equal EQ will not work in CDS. Always we should use equals to like this, or if it is greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, like this we have to use, or less than or equal to, less than or equal to, or if it is not equal to, this is the not equal to. Okay. So now greater than or less than, like this. We know all those operators, comparison operators. And header dot trip ID equals to items dot trip ID. So we have trip ID there as well. So we are joining these two tables and we are trying to pull the information. The limited, it could be now limited information or the full, the entire fields of those fields. And anything can be uh, um populated onto this one. Okay. So now what I do, so here if we press on control space, it always refer to the header table. Let me, we can see, we can see the differentiation as well here. If you move, if you scroll down, come on. So you can see the item fields as well here. Okay. So trip header and items, both of them we can see. So if you want to insert all of them, first we insert the header fields, insert all fields, will include all of the uh, fields into it. So these two are the key fields. We need trip ID and trip item. That's true. And a trip ID already included here. So we will just remove it. And from country to country as well. So this from country to country or from items. So this from country and to country are for entire trip, but these from country and to country are for the individual legs in the item. So here we definitely need to put a alias name here as item from country, and here as item to country, and here total expenses. So we know why this error is being showed here, because this is an amount field. We definitely need to write semantics dot amount dot currency code. So what is the currency code here? The currency is the currency code, and let's put that here. Perfect. So now I just formatted it. Now it's the consolidated CDSU combining both trip item and trip header here. So let me activate this one. Cool. It is activated. So if we execute this one, let's run, press F8 and see. So here we see trip to, this is the item, respective item. So under trip 2, how many items we have? 2 items. And trip 3, this trip we have these many items, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So accordingly, so if we scroll down, they all specified with those key fields. Sorry. And all the information from and items and um, header have been included into one single CDSU. So now we can publish this to an application, or we can even publish this as a OData service, or however we want, we can do that. But the same functionality I would like to achieve in a different manner. So that is using association. Okay. So let me go ahead and create another CDSU. data definition and ZTH. This is again CO trip report. I'll say AS association, using association. Go next, and again next, and this time again I'm choosing view entity. So because uh, that is the recommendation we should use. So going ahead, finish, finished. So now what is my header? What is my header is trip header base. This is my primary data source. Let me place my primary data source, and let me choose my fields here. Okay, done. So, and after this, what else I want to do? So I am trying to write an association here, association. So after the association, syntax would be like the cardinality, specifying the cardinality here. So here n won't be available. So to say 0 to n cardinality, instead we will be using star here. So if we want to say 0 to star or 1 to star, it will be 0 0 dot dot star 0 or 1 dot dot star, like this. We will specify the association, and then what is this association to what? So the syntactically it will be to association to. Now I'm trying to create an association to my trip items. So let me create trip items and let me give an alias name. So here I'll say underscore items. Okay, and rest all same. On, what is the on condition here? On. We use dollar projection here. So I'll tell you why this projection. Projection dot trip ID, trip ID equals to, what is it? Underscore items dot trip ID. Perfect. So we have finished our association, but by writing the association statement will not happen or will not do anything. Still we see a warning there saying association has been defined and it has not been used. So if you see this one, association is not used. So what are the use cases for this association? How we can use this association? So let me copy this, and this association will be part of our entity. This is the usage, and also if we want to add any of the fields from association, and then it's just include association name and dot. So if you put dot here, whatever the field names are available in this particular association, they all will be popped up. If we want to pick up any specific field names, then we will pick up those specific field names. Otherwise, if we are interested to um, insert all the fields, then we will insert all the fields. So like we did in our previous CDSU, so trip ID already exists. We do not want to repeat the information, and from country. So same here, from country and to country. Let me copy these two to here, from country and to country, and let me put a small underscore before it. as items is not a meaningful name that I'm referring to here. Okay, and this total expenses again, it's a reference field. We should have this semantics added onto this one. Let me add on to this one. So here you may question, uh, we are using the same view here, whereas semantics currency already exists in this view. Is it required to add semantics again and again? Of course we need to add. So for this view, this is the body of it, and here it needs to understand independently what kind of data residing in this one, and if it is a reference kind, we must refer as an currency or a unit as well. So if you look at this units, we have unit of measure true, and but oh, wait a moment, not units, quantity dot unit of measure. So quantity dot unit of measure, here it will go the unit of measure field name. What is the unit of measure? We will be referring for this quantity numbers. Okay, so let me remove this one. It is not required for us now. Perfect. So now there are some warnings here. What are these warnings? So let us check one warning here. The association can modify the cardinality of the result set. So what this means? So this header, you are referring it as one data source, but you are using the fields of association. Okay, fields of association are being used. So what it does? So there are more lines matching to this on condition here. Whatever we have specified, the trip ID. So there are more items for the specific trip ID. So that's what this warning is about. So as we know about it, so we don't want to mind specifically about it. That's fine. Go ahead. So let me activate this CDSU. And here you see this dollar projection, right? So now in the previous example in the inner join, we have referred an alias name for header. So for header, we have specified as header here. But whereas in this case, we do not have any header as alias name for this particular data selection, whatever we are doing on this table. We don't have alias name. But instead, we are using the dollar projection. So this projection means we have done projection on this view. Sorry, yeah, on this view with these fields. These are the projected field names. So all entire entity of this one is referred as projection. Okay, so not only relating to these ones, not only relating to these view fields, the projection contains even these fields here as well. Okay, so that is what is the projection, and we have a few variables like this, few keywords like this. We will be knowing about those keywords. But at the last line, we have underscore items. So we are using our underscore item as straight alias name. We have included into our entity here, element. So we have included into our element so that we will see that feature. So let me activate this one and let me execute. So here we see all the information that whatever we have seen last time. Okay, the arrangement of the fields is up to us. How we arrange the fields, it display like that. So it's not like all the association fields must be at the end and the projected view fields must be at the beginning. It's not like that. Here we have only one condition, that we must have key fields defined at the starting of the entity or element. So defining the key field at the beginning and again defining the key field in between after leaving few fields, this is not recommended. So this will not work. So if you come across these situations, so keep it in mind. So this declaration of key fields must be always top inside the element, and rest of the arrangement of the fields, it's up to us. In whatever the order we want, we can arrange all our fields in that particular order. So now okay, so just remember, this is my uh, what is this association result set here. So and here I'm just running my inner join as well. So this is the inner join CDSU here. So let me execute this one as well. So on top, this is my inner join result set, and below is my association result set here. So if I right click here on my result set here, it says something. You just uh, look at this follow association here. So here no association is defined. Okay, and whereas if I go into my association result set here, if I right click here, follow association, it will show me my item association here. If you see clearly, so the row, whatever I have selected here, it is the trip number, trip ID 002, let's say. So I'm doing right click on my trip 003, for example. Let's select this one, follow association, and click on this one. Sorry, I clicked on something else. Yeah. Oh no, that's correct. So if you see here, I have got only the respective trip items of that particular uh, trip header. Okay, so there are duplicate items. That's the let's not uh, think about it. That's fine. So we know how to avoid the duplicate entries. Okay, so this is what the association does. And whereas join will not do join will not do anything else. It's just data fetch from there. And also we have some additional features for association, whereas these associations are required for wait yeah associations are more helpful in terms of building UI applications, transactional applications, and these associations will not be called. For example, let's say I'm just commenting this out. I'm on the association, and now let me activate this one. Perfect, activated. Now let me go to, okay, so fields removed, that will not refresh. Uh, let me execute it again. So now we see the results of only header. So exactly what happens here, at the back end, at the database side, there will be no select or select query executed on this association. Okay, even though we have included underscore items, the association name, alias name here in our entity or element, the database will not go to this table at all. But whereas in this one, definitely the selective query goes into this one. It doesn't matter whether you add your fields into your entity or not. So it will definitely go here as a filtration criteria, and it will definitely look into these tables and brings back, comes back uh, to the CDS entity. And in this case, whereas it doesn't go there, but whenever we just ask to navigate to specific trip ID follow association, if we select this one, then of course it goes and brings all the information here. If you see, there are no duplicates at the moment. Okay, the same way the UI definitely this will help to build the lightweight UI applications, whereas in the first instance, the list will be displayed, and in the second instance, whenever user selects and goes to the next page, then the details will be displayed. And there are more interesting things on this one. Let me go ahead and I will use this association, and let me use the powerful OData annotation here. So what I would like to do here is I will just publish this as OData service. OData.publish true. Done. This will become OData service now. So let me activate this. So now using this annotation, all SADL is getting generated, SADL taking control, and then done, finished. And now there is a warning here. So that is just telling us you have not registered this, you have published this as a OData service, but you have not registered this in your gateway to expose this one. Okay, that's fine. Let me go to my service catalog here in my backend. So go to maintain service, and whatever the services have been generated with the OData.publish true annotation, they will be added an additional keyword underscore CDS into their services. But gateway services will have an addition of underscore SRV, whereas CDS views which are published through OData annotation, they will have an extension of underscore CDS, the view name, and then the CDS extension. If you see the CDS, the OData service we see here. So just go ahead and pick up this one, and this step we are very much familiar how to register a OData service. Let me go ahead. Perfect. So now our OData service have been registered in our um, service catalog. So let me find for it. Yes, we have it here. And let's take this one and go to the SAP Gateway client. Yes. And look for the metadata, add URI option, metadata, just execute it. We do not need to do anything in terms of if we are using OData.publish true annotation. So if you see whatever the types, everything coming from OData service itself. So this is where SADL come into play and defines these types, everything. And interestingly, if you see here, trip item as well. So THI trip items type also included here, and also this is added as navigation property here for us. So from where this navigation property is coming, that is because of this association and its addition into the element of this CDS view. Okay, so now let me go into my entity sets and see how they are looking like. If you see here, I have two entity sets have been added, one for trip items and the another one for um, the main one. So this has been added as one entity, and the association as we have published this, and this one also have been added as another entity here. So now let's pick up this one, the header one, and let's execute this one. We have not done anything code wise. So the thing we have built is CDS view, and we have published this as OData service. Okay, so now let me pick up the JSON format. Let's go to JSON format and execute it. Here we go. All the data, whatever have been the CDS view is giving, everything is coming here, and including the navigation property here. So this two, from where this two is coming is the SCADL will automatically add these two to the navigation properties, association properties here. So association name, whatever we use here, so the SCADL will add additional two in front of this association name. So again, if we want to use expand keyword here, we are free to use expand keyword, and dollar expand equal to two items. So this will not hit the request, and it will come back all those entries here. So this is the usage, or the most powerful uh, action or capability of associations here. But whereas if we use these inner joins, we will not be able to achieve these functionalities. But in terms of restricting the data or controlling the data using some hard filtrations, then yes, so these inner joins will be used. But on top of this, we must be having associations if we are planning to do any such navigations between the entities. Okay, and not only this, expand on this um, OData service generated from or published from CDS view, all the capabilities, whatever the V2 OData service supports. For example, here I see some state from. So let me use this as a filter here, and dollar filter equals to state from equals to BEN. So this is what I see there. So let me execute this one, and here we go. So we have got only the entries that are created with state from BEN. So you can pick any of the any field, whatever the field you want as a filter, we can use that field in the filter. But whereas in code-based implementation, if field needs to be used in filter, we had to code it manually there. But that's not the case if we use CDSU published or referenced, whatever it is. If it is published, CDS published, so this This is the one I'm calling as CDS published, and CDS referenced, which is the one we have done using SEGW transaction code. Okay, so let me save this as a variant for your reference. So CDS reference. So I would say CDS published OData.publish true. Okay, so if you want, you can go ahead and take this as a reference. So fine. So now we understood the difference between join and the association, and still we see a warning here. This view has not been refreshed. Let me refresh this view, and we see a small icon here after refreshing. And if you click on this icon, uh, we will see whether OData service has been published or not. Yes, it is published, and this is the OData service. If you click on this one, it straight away takes you to the browser. If you enter your backend credentials, so here as well, sorry. So here as well, you can see it, the OData service is being loaded here. So if we know the entity set here, we can straight away give the entity set right after the CDS view here. So, or if you want to look at the metadata, dollar metadata. So if you use the dollar metadata, so everything will be loaded here as well on the browser. Okay, so I think that's what I plan to cover for today, and I would like to stop here now. Thank you for today.